All right, so we're here again with Haulin Harry Goatcher.
Still here.
And we are going to do 5 quick questions to get some good stories out of this guy. He has lived it. He was there back in the day, and now he's back. So the first question I want to ask you, Harry, what was your very first ski? And kind of give me some background on how you got into it.
First ski was a 550 84 red. That's all I remember.
That's it.
A red. And my dad, Okie from Muskogee, he had bought one to keep up with a friend of his that they worked together. And these two were more worried about cigarettes and whiskey and campfire than anything else. But he bought one to keep up with his buddy. And I rode that 84 550. And then very soon after that, Bill bought Mama a 440. The white and blue one. And it wasn't long before we rode that 440 that we started putting parts in it. And then the 550, we had to start putting parts in it. And I think we know how the rest of that turned out.
What was the definitive moment where you guys were like, let's go racing?
I can't speak exactly on Bill's behalf to the exact day, but pretty close. 14, very thin. I was a baseball player, but I was never real muscular. And I was beating the men. I was beating the men at our bay. And then we went to the bay, per se, where the big boys were, and went over there, and I was hanging with those guys when I was 14. I mean, so small, so small. And Bill told Mama, well, I believe we got to get this boy in some competition.
That's awesome.
And that's how that went.
All right, so question number 2. Favorite memory from your racing career? Any of it. Favorite memory?
Well, it's like to put one, that would really be difficult to say one was definitive because everybody knows. I mean, the sights were so beautiful. And they still are today. Can you imagine racing in Thailand, right? And you're going to be racing in Thailand.
Hopefully.
But, we raced on so many beautiful spots. But if I had to think of one that really stuck out, was 2. They flew us to Milan, Italy, and they flew us to Barcelona, Spain. And they flew whole skis, which cost a lot back then, before it was just motors and we'd assemble it. And if I got to remember, they didn't really say anything about indoor or outdoor. It was just, you're going to a jet ski race in Spain, bring your mechanic, and you got a couple of air tickets, and R&R is going to send the boat. Great, cool, going to Spain, rock and roll, let's go. And they take us to the race site, and I'm looking for lakes and oceans, and next thing you know, I'm at probably one of the biggest stadiums I've ever seen. Because, got to keep something in mind. In Europe, they take their soccer very, very seriously. So we're talking about Barcelona, Spain. And this stadium was, just couldn't see how big it was. It was that big. And they walked us inside the stadium, and we're on the floor, like you imagine, like the Superdome being filled with water. Well, this was 2 days before the event, so the whole floor was a rubber membrane. And they were still sealing it up with these propane heaters, and they were putting the tar down. And you want to talk about feeling small. I was standing in the middle of this thing with no water in it, just looking around at all these stands, and I'm like, gosh, am I really here? Is this really going down? Okay, so that's really cool. But when they put this together, like we raced at night now. We never raced at night before. It was like, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, during the duration of the day. But now they didn't have to worry about the sunlight because it was indoors and it was all climate controlled. But dude, these guys had laser light shows. They had, Guns N' Roses jamming in the background. The lights would come on. The lights would go. Man, I felt like a rock star. They really did. And that was something that I'd never done before. And so we had done that in Italy, and we went that same off season, and we went to Spain in the same size stadium, and we did it again. And that, I tell you something about back in those days, like you really think, oh, this is just going to continue. happening. Like, oh, we'll be back next year. This is so cool, and they did so well. But I never was, because, the sport kind of did its thing. So now I'm looking out back in the past, and those 2 indoor races were incredible. There was like something that you can really dream up.
A once-in-a-lifetime thing?
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. You've been around the sport for a while. You took a break. You came back. You've been riding lots of skis lately. Yeah. Out of all the skis you've ever ridden, if you had to pick one, which one's your favorite?
Well, I got 2 in my head for different reasons.
Okay,
so
we'll hear it.
My 800 that I have right now, that's been custom built, is the most stable ski I've ever ridden. And I'm having more fun on that 800 than I've ever had in my life. Okay, so that's current. Mm-hmm. Now, the best ski that I ever ridden back in the day was a R&R 750, and it was built by Tim Judge. And that was when the 750s were just being allowed to race with the 550s. But when we left the West Coast, nobody had them. It was still like, we don't know if we want to race them. They hadn't worked on the motors enough. Mm-hmm. So when Jeff left the West Coast to go on tour, he was on his 550s. Mm-hmm. Well, yep. When I left the West Coast to go on tour, I went home to R&R Jet Tech. And they had this 750 sitting there ready. And Tim Judge had that bad boy in there, and it was bad to the bone. I finally had some horsepower that was comparable with Jeff, and that's when I had my best season. I finally had some equipment that was.
Was that the same year? We found this video clip that we used in your Haulin Again video.
Oh, I know. Wasn't that awesome?
Whole shot, and you and Sheldon were swapping. Was that same year?
That was the exact year.
That's awesome.
That was the exact year, and I'm glad you said that, because this stuff's all going to be documented. So Chris and Victor's going to hear this. Chris Haggis asked me, he said, where did that backwards leg drag come in? And that was a goofy looking thing, but for a regular footed rider, a backwards leg drag, I was ruddering so I can go wide open in the right turns. And it's so funny, because that video, I taught myself to do that leg drag for one reason, to keep up with Victor Sheldon, because his rights were so fast, because that was his comfort zone, that the only way that I could go wide open in a right-hand turn is if I did that funky turn. And it's amazing that you found that clip, because I had to do
a lot of digging, but I was stoked.
If I had Victor sitting right here, I would be like, I practiced for days and weeks on this to keep up with you in that right-handed turn. And you still got me, you little rascal. But boy, that clip was awesome.
Yeah, we want to get Sheldon in your spot and ask him some questions like this too, because we know you guys all have some really good stories like that.
That we do.
So it's awesome.
And you know what, Victor's a great guy. I like him a lot.
Yeah.
And cool. He's real articulate, and he's got a good head on his shoulders. And if and when he decides to sit down, Jet Ski World better get ready.
Yeah,
we're excited. Slasher's got a lot of good stuff.
Oh, I'm sure he does. So speaking of people, favorite person or maybe ride session you ever had, if you had to pick a favorite?
It was so darn competitive back in the day that when it was time to get to a race, it wasn't a fun thing. It was a business thing, and it was vicious, man. Mm-hmm. It was vicious. I'm gonna nod at you, and maybe I don't think we fist bumped back then.
Wasn't a thing yet?
I don't think so. No, it was. It was a high five.
There you go. There it is.
Yeah, but there's limited times that some of us could really hang out and let's per se, let our hair down. But when we filmed Jet Dreams.
Yeah,
when we filmed Jet Dreams, Scott Watkins organized all that, and the last race of the year was in Florida, one of the key races. And Scott Watkins' father lives on Key Island Mirage. He's a big fisherman. Gene, great guy. Fishing boat right there, go out the thing. And Scott had it planned, that all the racing was done. Mm-hmm. So all the race trucks left, and we just stayed with our playboats, and all the pressure was over.
Got to breathe.
The points, the money. Man, I don't say it enough. There was, at least, I can speak to me, of course, there was so much pressure, financial pressure back in the day, that there wasn't a whole lot of fun, for me with that. But once them trucks left, then it's like, okay, you got what you got. You placed 4th overall. Great. Everything is good. But we had 5 or 6 days in the Florida Keys with the most beautiful water on earth to absolutely just go out and cut up and jump and laugh and freak out and just ride our butts off. And me and Fish and Scott Watkins and Larry Rippenkroger, we never did that again. Because we didn't want to. We never did it before that, but we really all was placed together at that time in life to make the first jet ski film. And we're so proud of the way Scott did it. It turned out great. But it was because there was no pressure. And we had 3 or 4 weeks off. And we can just enjoy the darn jet skis for what they're meant to do. And let's look, that's what they're meant to do. Go out and have fun on. But, we was on a different level with that. But, for those 4 days in Isla Mirada, Florida, with those 3 great guys was the funnest time I ever had back then.
That's awesome. All right, so last question. If you had to leave our shredders one nugget of wisdom, they watch these videos of you shredded then, you shred now, what is Harry Goatcher's one little nugget of wisdom to be a better shredder?
All right, so I know what I want to say, but you just said something that's going to put me somewhere else. Was I shredded then, and I'm looking pretty good on the ski right now. Well, I appreciate that. I'm looking good on the ski because I've been doing it for so long in the past. But what does someone do when they're really learning and they really want to get fast in a hurry? Mm-hmm. Now, you got your body beach down here. You got your 20 buoy course. You got 75 mile an hour skis. Kids out there trying to make, a name for themselves. Mm-hmm. Don't go there. Don't go out there. You don't go out there. You just don't need to be in the mix of all that rough water. What you need is an old school trick that I've done for years, and I don't even know if they race slalom anymore.
They do sometimes.
But slalom is my one tip to any avid jet skier. I'm doing it now. I hope to be doing it tomorrow out here. But slalom is 5 buoys. It's a left and a right, a left and a right, and a turnaround, and you come through and you do it again. Okay? Now that right there is going to teach you everything you need to know about your body positioning, how low you can go, how low you can't go. You're going to push your ski too far and crash out. Smooth water, slalom track, and drill that thing. Have your mom, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever it is, your friend, with a pad of paper and your phone. I'd say stopwatch. That shows my age, right?
Now, they got an app for that now.
Yeah, exactly. We got an app for that. Thanks, Anna. But get that app on there and see what your times are. Because, me personally right now, I'm improving in my right-handed turns. Switching feet is a foreign animal to me. So, I'm doing pretty well at it. But I also know there's some measure of improvement on the right-handed turns. And I'm not going to learn that on a rough water with a bunch of crazy-ass boats. I got 2 more cylinders than I do. So just get on a flat water and really push the slalom. You'll be able to push your body, and you'll really, really learn more on that course. You learn more on a slalom track than you will on a closed course track.
Mm-hmm. I can back that up. That's how my dad taught me, because I think it's because he knew that's how you guys learned how to do it. So.
Well, and also it's quick and easy. It's not hey, I want to go ride closed course, so what do we have to do? We have to get a bunch of people together. You bring 6. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. You bring 6, you bring 7. Or you go to the Salty crew, and Nick Giles has got everything dialed in. Man, love that guy in Alley. But, on a slalom track, you can just put 5 buoys. You get a day off of work, a half a day. Keep them in the back of your truck, and you set them up yourself. Mm-hmm. That's where you train at. And that'd be my number one tip to anyone. As far as improving on the jet skis, go ride that slalom, bro.
Awesome. Well, you heard it from Haulin Harry Goatcher. The way to be a better shredder is to run more slalom. Harry, we are so excited that you sat down with us. You really gave us some good stories, some good nuggets of wisdom. Is there anything you want to say before we get out of here and head to the lake and ride?
Really looking forward to the 2021. I'm just stoked to be back a part of the race program, and just to hear the big boats out there and the kids. I can't wait to go shake all their hands and tell how much admiration I have for what they're doing, man. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope everybody has a good, safe season.
Awesome. Thanks, Harry.